Well, now we will transition into our Underdog Best Ball segments of the week. I've been having a ton of fun playing with Underdog Best Ball. Definitely be sure to use the promo code RWMLB, and Underdog will not only double your initial deposit, but you also get 6 free months of RotoWire for free. Again, RWMLB. Today's topic for our Underdog Best Ball segment is best pitcher values. Todd, I know you kind of hate the term values just generally, but guys we're ending up with, guys that we find as really nice values in the drafts on Underdog that we're doing. Who do you got at your number one spot here?
We can go throughout the course of the draft. So I'm actually going to start a little bit high in that if I end up with Kevin Gasuman as one of my first couple of pitchers, I'm not complaining. Mm-hmm. And that goes along with my just general thinking about Gausman in general. You talked about him a little bit earlier. There was a note that he's adjusting his delivery to get rid of a toe tap. That
tweaking his mechanics just a little bit.
Yeah, because his delivery was actually sent around in video as we're going to call this a balk this year because he doesn't come to a complete stop. Now it's got nothing to do with his 361 or whatever it was BABIP. It's an interesting note on Gausman. Watch him in the spring to make sure he's not, totally thrown off by having to slightly adjust his delivery. But the point being, I think he's being misranked just because he was just so wholly unlucky last year that he's just really good. And so if I happen to miss out on a top starter, I'll take me in a Kevin Gausman as one of my top two pitchers.
Clay Link and Todd Zola talking the best pitcher values on the board in Underdog Best Ball. Todd's first choice was Kevin Gausman, and my first choice was Kevin Gausman. But since you said that, I changed it to a guy who's going pretty close to him, a little bit ahead of Gausman in the Underdog drafts I've done, but Luis Castillo. So I've changed my number one to Luis Castillo. He was in that mix for me too, but I still think people, weigh the Cincinnati years a little bit too heavily. He had so much working against him. He was fighting uphill throughout that time. Didn't have a real shortstop really at any point in Cincinnati. And I feel like people are still dinging him a little bit too much. We saw after he got out of Great American Small Park and went to, what is it, T-Mobile Park?
Yep.
What it is in Seattle?
Yep.
I mean, he was a full-blown ace. So I think people are still kind of valuing him as if he's the Cincinnati Luis Castillo, and he's in such a better spot now with the team context.
No, I agree. I don't happen to be getting him, which is why I agree with the pick just because thinking through the drafts. But a guy in that, the second guy, we're going to give you folks, we'll give you some lower level guys, don't worry. But because pitching is so important to Underdog, I think we do need to hit a couple of these top guys. Zach Wheeler to me is a little bit underdrafted. He innings and the ability to get a quality start are huge in Underdog, and he has those. So I understand why a couple of these other guys are a little lower. I don't actually understand why Wheeler is as low as he is. So he's another guy that if I get Gausman and Wheeler, I don't know if have you done a draft from the 12 hole yet?
I did. Yeah. I took Trey Turner and Corbin Burns, maybe.
See, I actually took Colin Burns, double tap the pitching. Nice. And I thought if the public knew I would be canceled. It turns out that that's kind of a popular strategy. We maybe can talk about that some other time. And I talked about it with Chris on the RotoWire podcast yesterday. But anyway, the point, you want pitching. So I'm going to get you some lower level names for the next three, but I'm going to use Zach Wheeler as my second.
I like that. And I didn't put him on my list, but Aaron Nola, his teammate, I think is a good value because, man, he hasn't had a winning record since like 2019. But we're all looking at those same underlying stats, but yet somehow Aaron Nola's still undervalued.
He's fine.
It's kind of amazing. My number two is Zach Gallen. Kind of blows my mind that he's not going higher just given how he finished. I think it is important to look at, the season-long numbers, of course, but the way he finished was so impressive. I know the team's not very good, but maybe improving.
Yeah, teams are bad for two reasons. Well, whatever. The hitting is bad or the pitching's bad. They've got some decent hitting, or fledgling hitting, I will call it. Potentially good hitting. So a good pitcher, I mean, their back end of the staff's terrible, so the team isn't going to be very good. But Gallen, I think, is fine. He's going to get his wins because the offense is going to score enough for Zach Gallen to get his wins.
Yeah, I like Gallen a lot this year, but the balanced schedule too. In theory, fewer starts against the Dodgers, and maybe he can avoid Coors entirely. That's possible. Who is your number 3, Todd?
Going to move down a bit, kind of in the middle here. Is maybe my 3rd, 4th, or 5th starter. Brady Singer.
Nice.
I'm intrigued. I'm mental block on the new KC pitching coach, but I'm intrigued by their team in general. Singer showed a lot last year, and the quality start aspect of it, I think, helps out a bit in the underdog format.
I like that. My number 3 is a guy a little lower down as well, but still a guy who's very much getting drafted in all leagues. Freddie Peralta. I just think you got to bump him up a little bit and scoop a guy who's this talented, going where he is in Underdog Bestball. Not playing in the WBC, kind of like we've heard with a lot of guys, but no injury concerns for Peralta heading into camp. So at least for now, a full go, and we'll see how long that lasts. But and I kind of get that you can't backfill if he has another serious injury, but I think the upside is worth chasing here with Freddie Peralta.
Excellent. Now, a little bit of context for those that don't play Underdog, and these guys aren't sleepers. Sorry about the siren. I try to mute them when I can, but I happen to be talking. So there's 12 teams in Underdog and 3 starting pitchers in your active lineup. That's 36. And you're drafting 5, 6, 7, or 8 of them, so there are more. But we're only talking about the top, say, 75 pitchers. So we're not going to get into the 7th or 8th starter in an NFBC league. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the top 5 starters in an NFBC, just to put it in context.
Yeah, it's a little bit shallower.
A little bit, yeah, just so people understand. Mm-hmm. My next guy is similar to Brady Singer, and I kind of already alluded to why I like him, and that's Merrill Kelly. In that, he'll get the wins in Arizona. They leave him in there. We talked about their bullpen earlier. Maybe we didn't talk Arizona's bullpen. No, we didn't. We talked Dodgers, but we could have the same. Who's going to lead? Is Melanson going to lead it in saves, or somebody else? It's a shaky bullpen there in Arizona. Merrill Kelly took his own 7th inning bridge, and those innings and quality starts matter. So if I'm not looking to take a shot, and I think you may be, I'm going to guess one of your pitchers at the end is kind of a take a shot guy. And then maybe a cookie or two. Then Kelly's kind of the safer guy.
Well, I do like Cookie. I didn't include him on this list, but yeah,
okay, we talked about him last week.
Yeah, we talked about him last week when he had some audio issues.
Oh, that's right.
My next up is Chris Sale. He's always staring at me in the face on Underdog. Too good of a value for me to pass up. I know he's been hurt a ton, but the latest issue was, I believe, a wrist suffered in a bicycle accident. So he's had some time to get away from the arm issues, and I know that Sale is not prime Sale anymore, but he's on track for opening day, and I just think he's going too late. So he's my number 4, and then number 5 for me is Drew Rasmussen, a guy who goes really, I think, too late in Underdog. Maybe he's not fully the cookie level flyer that you may have wanted, but if you can, I'd say grab Drew Rasmussen on every darn team you do.
I get him in a lot of them.
Who's number 5 for you, Todd?
Just to mention more of a strategy thing on Sale. Again, talking to Chris Baseball last night on the RotoWire podcast, filling in for Jeff. He's an injury prone guy, but when you're drafting your back end pitching, you're looking for those spike weeks, and you're hoping he's healthy during the playoff run of Underdog. So
you got about 30 seconds here, though, on this segment.
All right, 30 seconds.
You want to start last?
Trevor Rogers, Miami. I don't. Nice. I believe at the end, taking the shot that he comes back.
I like that. So to recap, our best pitcher values in Underdog Best ball drafts. Mine, Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen, Freddie Peralta, Chris Sale, Drew Rasmussen. Todd's 5, Kevin Gasuman, Zach Wheeler, Brady Singer, Merrill Kelly, Trevor Rogers.